All right, welcome to today's CUGC Connect webinar. I'm Stephanie Boozer with CUGC HQ. Thrilled to welcome you to today's presentation. Going to be talking about Citrix DaaS VDA Upgrade Service. If you don't know about it or you haven't used it, or maybe you just need to know more, you're going to find out today and you're going to see a little demo. Before we dive into that, let me just cover a couple of housekeeping details for you. Our next Excel event is Great Lakes in Chicago. We're going to be at Soldier Field this time. This is going to be May 11th, and it is a free full day of just awesome EUC goodness. Lots of Citrix stuff, lots of discussions. We've got a panel discussion. You can see we've got some great speakers lined up. So excited about that. I'm going to put a link in the chat for you in a little bit so you can get more information and hopefully sign up. Also, we've got some more webinars coming up from folks at Citrix, so definitely take a screenshot of this slide. It's got some great information. Plus, CUGC is now on Slack and Discord, so you can scan that QR code. It'll take you over to the sign up page and you can get in there. By default, when you sign up on our Slack channel, you get into the general channels, but if you would like to be part of your local group's channel, those are private, so there's a form, you'll see it when you get in there. There's a form for you to fill out and request access to your local group. All right, also we are recording today and you will get a link to this recording tomorrow in email, so be on the lookout for that. Also, we've got a Q&A pane and we have a chat pane, so if you would type your questions as you have them into the Q&A panel, we'll answer those as we can. I think we're going to save most of them for the end, but feel free to say hello in the chat and let us know where you are and have great conversations there. All right, so with us today, keeping an eye on your questions for us is Steve Elgin. He is a CTA. He is the Omaha CUGC leader. He's also on our steering committee. He does lots of great stuff for us. Thank you, Steve, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And then we also have from Citrix, we have Alan Furmanski and Swaroop Joseph Varghese. I hope I said that right. So welcome, Swaroop and Alan. I see you both are in the same room together. I'm going to hand things over to you. You should be able to share your screen now that I have stopped. Let me know if you can't see that.
Yeah, let me try to share my screen. One moment, please. Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
All right, very good.
All right, excellent. So hopefully you can see the screen and hear us well. Really excited to be with you all today. I'm Alan Furmanski, Director of Product Management here at Citrix, of course, now a part of the broader Cloud Software Group organization. And we're going to be talking about the VDA Upgrade Service. So an area that we think really helps solve an administrator challenge. Personally, I look after, on the product management side of the house, several key technologies, including our Linux VDA. We've got long-term service releases we look after, remote PC access, DaaS standard, and other various topics. So as we go along, please feel free to ask questions. We do want to keep it interactive. We're curious if you've used the service thus far. We'll have some polls along the way. And hopefully we can look to make this an exciting and mutually beneficial session here. We really appreciate everyone joining.
Yep.
Swaroop.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Hi, everyone. My name is Swaroop. I'm the product manager for VDA Upgrade Service. I report up to Alan, and along with VDA Upgrade Service, also have CVR LTSR and DaaS standard for Azure and a few other things from the product management side that I manage. So really excited to be part of this conversation. We really look forward to having your feedback and comments about the service and any recommendations from your experience using it, or overall from the information that we're going to share. Anything that you see that would enhance your admin experience for using this, or any other requests or RFPs, anything of that nature. So, so with that, I have a few slides that I would like to go through, and then we'll switch over to the Citrix DaaS demo, where I just quickly walk through some of the things that we go over in this slide. So with that, we'll get started. So the VDA Upgrade Service on a high level is an enabler for Citrix DaaS based administrators to help update the VDA on any persistent type catalog. And currently, we can support persistent catalogs deployed through MCS, PVS, remote PC access, Windows single session, Windows multi-session operating systems, and we can also support anything persistent along the lines of HDX Plus was for Windows 365, non-domain join, Azure AD join, server VDI, anything along those categories as well, as long as those are persistent catalogs. This is available with Citrix DaaS today. And to take advantage of the service, you have to use a current release VDA of 2109 or higher. If you're on the LTSR track, it has to be a 2203 LTSR VDA or one of its CUs from the 2203 line. On a high level, how it works is there's a VDA upgrade agent that goes on the VDA, and it will report itself to the Citrix DaaS cloud control plane. And along with the reporting, it will report the version of the service itself and also the VDA agent version that is running on that particular machine. And also report up any additional components, additional features that the VDA currently have. And the agent is how we are able to communicate back to the VDA. So agent periodically checks with Citrix DaaS and get information on whether a newer version is available to pull down and install. So let's say if we publish a newer version of CR or LTSR CU, that information will be passed down to the VDA through the agent, and agent will acknowledge that and download that particular bit from the cloud, and it will perform an in-place upgrade of the VDA service. So this is how, on a high level, the workflow is happening, and the same workflow can be initiated from Web Studio as well as from the PowerShell command list using the Citrix DaaS PowerShell SDK.
Yeah, and we've really designed the service to be as integrated and lightweight as possible, right? To not impact any existing operations you have, certainly nothing from a performance or usability or scalability perspective. So that we realize that that's incredibly important, regardless of if these are single session VDAs, right, or multi-session VDAs. And I know we had some polls here in the system. Maybe this is a good opportunity if we can ask our panelists here, maybe Stephanie or someone, if we can get the first poll up. We're just curious, how many of you have used the VDA upgrade service thus far? So yeah, just be candid with us. If you use it, great. If not, no worries at all, right? That's what we're here for. And so I'm going to choose yes for myself because I've used it, not to throw things off too much, but oh, it says we can't vote. So I guess we're really keeping it honest here. All right, great. So we'll leave the poll up just for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. If you could just vote yes or no for us.
Yeah, this feature is in public preview to Alan's point, and it has been out there for quite some time right now, and this is available across all editions of Citrix DaaS today. So if you have Citrix DaaS Standard for Azure, Advanced, Advanced Plus, Premium, all these editions have this feature currently enabled. You should be able to use it. So,
okay, it looks like we've got some results in here. And okay, so the majority of you haven't used the service thus far, but totally fine. Totally fine, right? That's what we're here for, to educate and encourage adoption and also solicit any feedback that you may have around it.
Yep, thank you for voting. So moving forward, so just to go back to the component that makes this feature work is part of the VDA install. So when you guys get to the additional component, the VDA upgrade agent is the service that needs to be installed on the VDA. This can be installed during the install of the VDA or post install as well. And there's a command line equivalent to call out this additional component to be installed if you're using automated way to deploy VDA agent to your persistent workload. So you can just mention this additional command line switch and it will install the VDA upgrade agent. And on the right side, that's a service that should be running on the VDA, which should be communicating with the Citrix DaaS cloud control plane. So as you set up your machine catalog, it's a step that is integrated to that workflow. It's an optional step, number 15. Again, this can be enabled as part of the workflow, or you can come back later and enable it. So as part of the enabling, of the process, it will ask you to pick a track, either the CR track, or which is a current release track, or the LTSR track. So depending on which option you select, if you're selecting the CR track, it will always give you the latest CR that Citrix have released. So in this case, we are still, we have 2303 CR that just got released a few days back. We are trying to publish that out so that anyone new should be able to get the 2303 VDA using that. And for the LTSR track, it will be 2203, 2202, LTSR 2203 CU2 will be the latest in that track. So when you are in the machine catalog, once you're inside the machine catalog, on the right side, you can see few additional areas where it will reflect the VDA upgrade status. I mean, it's currently saying that VDA upgrade is available. The installed version is 2206 in this case, and the latest VDA version available is 2212. So it is indicating to the administrator that compared to the current version installed on the VDA, there's a newer version of VDA available for them to try and install. So again, this is one more different view where it shows the installed version and the version that is available, and the upgrade state will change based on the different state of the process. From the point where you start scheduling it, it's in progress, it is completed, or if you run into issues, all those different messages will be aggregated in the upgrade states section here. To kick this off, it is pretty straightforward. You can do this from the machine level. You can go right click and do upgrade VDA, or you can do it from the catalog level as well. So I will go more in detail during the demo of the service. So when you're scheduling, right now we have a couple of options available. So you have the option where you can do upgrade now, which gives you several durations starting with 2 hours, goes all the way up to 8 hours. What this window is going to attempt and do is any VDAs that are available, or the agent polls and informs the cloud control plane that this VDA is eligible or is eligible to do an upgrade, we will initiate that upgrade within that time frame. Let's say if going back to Alan's previous point, if you have a machine that is actively in use, or a machine that got temporarily disconnected, in the current workflow, we skip those machines. We do not attempt to upgrade the VDAs on those ones. So unless that machine is completely logged off from the user perspective, we don't attempt to upgrade the VDA at that point. So let's say if the machine's available, there's no user logged in, and the agent is reporting that it's good to come in and pick a slot in this time frame. It will come in and pull down the new error bits and do an in-place upgrade. On the right side is the upgrade later option. So right now, if you have a date, a future date that you're going to schedule, and then a time and duration, you can pick that. Again, we got some feedback along the lines of what time zone it is in. It is currently in UTC time zone, so we are putting that clarification there to let admin supporting different time zones know which time zone this scheduling is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note as well that this is the VDA upgrade service, not necessarily an auto upgrade.
Right.
So we'll provide the visibility, letting admins know that an upgrade is available, right? And then they can choose the most appropriate strategy on how they want to go about pushing out that update essentially to minimize any impact to the environment. So Swaroop, we got some great questions in here. Maybe we could just take a moment to go through a couple here. Doug was asking if we could use the VDA upgrade service to roll back the VDA version, or if there's any kind of issue with rolling out the current version, which is a great question. Thank you, Doug. We absolutely realize that dedicated systems are, a little bit more sensitive. They tend to be more for your knowledge worker, your power user, and yeah. So Swaroop, you want to cover some of those?
So we have a couple of options that is available as far as rollback goes. I mean, at this point, the service itself uses the Citrix Meta installer under the hood. So basically, how it works is the VDA Upgrade agent is calling the Citrix Meta installer. So any capability that the Citrix Meta installer have today, so we have that option to utilize that here. So which brings me to this option here. Basically, let's say we have a catalog here that states that there is a VDA upgrade available for a few of the VDAs here. So let's say you go, like I said before, you have the granularity where you can go into the catalog and multi-select or single select machines to start with a lower set of machines or one machine as part of your test effort or QA, and then expand it to your production catalog. So one option that we have here is like when you go to machine and upgrade VDA, you can select the option here to do it now or do it later. So let me go back 1 sec. So going back up one. So here, let's say this is a non-domain joint catalog, and let's say I choose the upgrade option here. So again, this is a component level filtering that happens on the catalog level. So the assumption here is that all the machines in that particular catalog have these components across the board. So unless it is available across the board or common across all the VDAs, those options won't be displayed here. So these are the components that are currently installed. So you have the option to pick any additional components that you want to install as part of this upgrade process. If I go next, and so here it gives you the additional features that are available to be installed as part of the upgrade process. So here we have a couple of options that are potentially going to help the enable restore and enable restore cleanup. This essentially on the desktop operating system create system level snapshots, which the admin should be able to use in an event of a failure. And the same thing for server operating system is going to do a full backup. So from this restore or restore cleanup, in an event there's a failure, should be able to restore from this point. So these are the two options that we have as far as some of from a failure standpoint we have today. Restore cleanup is essentially, it does restore, it creates a snapshot, but after a successful upgrade, it is just gonna delete that snapshot or the backup. But again, going back to Alan's point, we understand that these are critical machines with a persistent catalog. We expect any sort of QA or testing that you would have normally done to be done to a finite set of machines, and just make sure that everything goes through smoothly before you try to do this across the board on a catalog level or on a machine level. So yeah, to answer the question, sorry for the long answer, the restore and restore cleanup are a couple of options that we provide today to address that. But we'd love to get more feedback on what are some of other recommendations that you might or you're thinking of in case of like recovering from failure. One item that we are actively investigating is is exiting on error. Let's say on a catalog level, you scheduled it. Again, this is something that from a feedback standpoint, we would love to get your thoughts on. So let's say you have the option to do this on a catalog level, and it's a catalog of 100 machines, 200 machines, or 10, 15, whatever that case may be. You can define a success criteria. So you say that, hey, as part of the process, let's say if more than X amount of machines are failing, then exit the process. Do not attempt to upgrade the rest of the VDAs. Just like exit at that point and report back to admin what the failures are. We're trying to let's say reduce the blast radius in that case. Like if you're seeing and detecting issues, rather than trying to attempt that to more machines, maybe stop and exit that point and let the admin know, hey, seems like we have an issue. This many machines were attempted. We're not successful. Please look at the logs or any information that we can get from the machine to investigate why it happened and possibly fix it, and then retry if there's an issue that we can address from admin standpoint or from our side. So that is one thing that we are actively looking into. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we realize that there's so many different use cases, machine types. You've got different user groups and personas. And at the end of the day, there's a number of ways that you can go about updating the VDA, right? You can do it manually. You can do it through other various tools. One of the strategies and approaches that we had in developing this service is we wanted to bring the concept of upgrading the VDA software really more into the control of the Citrix admin,
yep.
Right? Because you look across other types of ESD tooling, and in many organizations, that's handled by different teams in the Citrix team, right? So you would hand over the latest VDA package to your application team or your Windows team and say, this is the package that I need updated across, these hundreds or these thousands of dedicated systems, and then you lose that certain amount of control. Whereas now, having this all integrated within our VDA upgrade service and the corresponding agents, it's more within the control of the Citrix admin, which I think is great.
Yeah.
And perhaps on those lines, Swaroop, maybe we can ask the next poll.
Second poll is a good time to ask the second poll. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a poll in there. We're curious what other software you're using today to deploy the VDA across your machines. Right, so there's a number of different choices. Here comes the poll now. So if you could just take a few seconds to look it over and please choose all that apply here.
Right. And this is not like a way to directly compete with any of this toolings that is available today. This is enabling like the Citrix admin to be in control of the upgrade process rather than trying to schedule an upgrade window and work with a different set of administrators who own the upgrade processes as a way to enable the Citrix admin to be in control, and they can choose the admin for whichever time zone based upgrade or the user base that they're trying to upgrade the VDAs for. Again, the persistent machines are could be complex because we don't know what the user have installed or what custom configurations that they have made. I mean, it's a very complex process, and for that same reason, a lot of admins leave. Once it's installed, they leave the machine at that state for a very, very long period of time. So again, the process itself is very, very challenging to update. So we are slowly chipping away in understanding the different difficulty or different touch points in that process. And since we are underneath using the Citrix meta install itself, it gives us an extra edge to address some of this from our side, and we are able to, like, as the information comes in, we are able to make some tweaks and address those along the way. So
definitely, yeah, it looks like we have a good mix across the board, be it the meta installer, scripting, some of the other tools, and a pretty sizable amount for other. I'm curious if you did select other. Would love to learn more about what those tools are. Maybe you can just use the chat functionality to drop in the name of these other tools that you're using. And again, we're we're in no way looking to replace or even attempt to replace any of these other tools, but we do want to provide the key functionality that Citrix admins need to be successful across the majority of use cases, upgrading VDAs on dedicated systems.
Yep.
And I see, looks like SCCM. Okay, I guess
Yeah, I think that was a big one that we should have.
that was a big one. I thought we had the one in there.
Yeah, that was a mistake on my part.
That's okay. Keeping us honest, guys. I like that. This is great.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's the biggest one in the room.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, really quickly, switching over to the workflow from the web studio. Again, all these items can be done from PowerShell commandlets using the PowerShell Citrix Cloud DaaS SDK. So you have the option to do this from the catalog level. So in this case, if you do this from the catalog level, depending on the size of how many machines are in the catalog, it will put machines into different batches, and those batches will be determined based on whether the machine is available, meaning no user is using it, or if not in a disconnected state. If those criteria are met, we will skip those machines, and any machines that are available will be put into a batch, and those batches will be attempted in a parallel format to try and upgrade. So let's say you don't want to do that, you want to do test it, or you want to be more granular. In that case, you have the option to go into the catalog and select each machine or multiple machines and schedule it. And right now, I'm going to attempt to do one in the 2-hour window. So it says upgrade now. Again, this is an estimate of time frame during which we will try to do this upgrade, and the agent will report the state of the VDA and availability to cloud, and that's how it gets into a batch. So you just pick the window and say done, and in 20 to 30 minutes time frame, it will detect the scheduling update, and then it will pull down the required bits to download the to do the in-place upgrade of the VDA. And from the admin standpoint, you can see the different states here in the section below. As the VDA upgrade progresses, it will show different status, and right now it says scheduled for today, the next couple of hours. So the status will be updated based on the different state of the process. So again, the normal process without any backup or backup restore will take anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes for the whole process to complete. And this is a high level workflow. As we progress, more items could be added here. And so one question that I would love to get your feedback on, like I say, it says scheduled, and as time progress, it shows different options. One item that I would really love your feedback on in the scheduling window here, as far as granularity or options goes, what are some of the things that as an admin you would love to see, or you want to see it here? And things along the lines of one feedback was along the line of we are okay with having machines that are in a disconnected state, because some of the machines in Flex at remote PC access, you might not log off the user ever. I mean, the user might stay in for 24 hours, 48 hours, however time that frame may be. Right. So maybe give that option here to, hey, include disconnected machines. Let's say in the case of it's an MCS persistent machines, maybe power on the machines that are off and then upgrade the videos there. So are those along the lines of you would like to see from an admin standpoint? Yeah, feel free to throw your responses in the chat in this particular case. And I see here that Nicholas was asking, will we be able to run upgrades on shutdown VMs in the future, right? So maybe for hypervisors that we know of, we have hosting connections to initiate the power actions.
or right, possibly in physical systems.
Yeah, even for wake on LAN setup machines, we might be able to power on machines and then do this upgrade in the future. Yeah, again, those are things that from a granularity standpoint, we are trying to get more feedback on from your field or from your day-to-day workflows standpoint, what options make sense to be included here, and what option do you think as
Yeah.
feasible? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for all the great feedback, everyone. Really appreciate it with the questions and the comments. Maybe I'll just take another one or two more here for you, Swaroop.
Yep.
So just kind of addressing, Will was mentioning he was having some trouble with the LTSR track, right? I know that there were some challenges and things that we're working through with the LTSR upgrade track. So what can you comment in terms of when we will have the LTSR track back up? Because we know that so many of our customers are on the LTSR track and they're going from one CU to the next.
Right. Again, really apologize for the delay in reinstating the LTSR track. So what we identified is that the agent, when it's on the LTSR track, it had to accommodate some special scenarios, and we were able to fix it, and we are actively working to reinstate it and put the CU2 bit out there. So right now we are hoping to have that state LTSR track reinstated in the next 2 weeks. So that's the estimates. But if you run into issues of not seeing that happen in the next 2 weeks, please feel free to reach out to me or Alan. We will directly work with you to make sure we're making sure it is working for you. But yeah, in the next 2 weeks, that's where we are estimating to have that track reinstated. Yeah.
Awesome. Maybe we'll grab just one more question here. We've got a good question. How are the VDA upgrade binaries transferred to the VDA machine? Does the VDA machine require direct internet access for that? Great question.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So right now, this MVP implementation requires the VDA to be VDA needs to access an Azure CDN that is part of the Citrix DaaS control plane, and that's how it is able to download the bits and any configuration files that comes with those bits. We have a set of links that we'll be sharing after the meeting, which have the list of URLs. So if you are a Citrix DaaS customer today, it's pretty much the same URL, and there's an additional URL for the Azure CDN that is different for the different regions, US, EU, and APS, and Japan. So there is an additional URL that the VDA need to access. Along those lines, we got feedback that not all admins want all the VDAs to go to the cloud and download the bits. So we have something that we are working to support a local share. So you can point the VDAs to a local file share where you can download the latest bit or virtual bit that you want to apply and point the VDAs to that share and get the VDA bits from there. So that is something that we are looking into. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Local share and independent proxy, right? Because we
we
realize that, yeah, a lot of you out there, right, you have proxy servers that you're using. So you want to be able to appropriately leverage that and just make the best use of your bandwidth too, right? Like we realize, hundreds or thousands of machines contacting our backend host to bring down essentially the same bits may not be the best use of traffic. So how can we maybe bring things local, find ways to cache and optimize? So yeah, these are definitely streams that we're thinking through.
Yes, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah, I think from a demo standpoint, again, this is like a very simple workflow here. You just need to come in and just kick this off from Web Studio, and the same thing from the PowerShell, the same workflow pretty much, and the equivalent commands are available, and you need to kick it off. And granularity that we have today is you can go into the machine catalog and do it per machine or multi-select and kick it off, or you can do it from the catalog now. One requirement that we have on top of the machine being available is right now we expect the machine to be part of the machine catalog and delivery group today to be able to leverage this service. So as part of the adding process delivery group, there's a hard registration process that happens from the VDA side, and that's how our service pick it up and get the required information from the VDA side that we keep on our side to do the upgrade smoothly and provide any support that goes along lines of adding new features and adding new capabilities as part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you kind of alluded to there, Swaroop, and we have a question related to it, like how are we approaching this from a command line or PowerShell perspective, right? And we have full support for that.
Right.
So like the question was asked here, like, hey, if I want to turn it on in mass across many machine catalogs, maybe enumerate my total machine catalogs, enable it on everything, or maybe catalogs with specific tags or properties, then we can definitely handle that.
Right. So right now, so those are things that we definitely want to support. So right now, the filter in Web Studio allows you to search based on tags, for instance. And let's say you have a specific tag based filter, and you can search for those tags and select those machines and kick off this process from the Web Studio. Same thing from the command line as well. So based on those filterings we have available, you can further go granular with that. So one thing that from a feedback standpoint that we got was like, right now, if you have this running across machines, right, like the full catalog, giving live feedback or accurate feedback to the admin, like out of 50 machines that are scheduled, 10 were attempted, out of 10, 5 succeeded, 5 is in process or in the next window to come in, or 5 failed. Just giving a summary of the high-level snapshot of where we are in the process, and maybe at any point aboard the process if you are not comfortable going forward or you're seeing issues coming in. So we are trying to accommodate all those additional granularities as part of the process. Along those lines, we also want to know more about, if you're going through this process as a Citrix admin and you have level 1, level 2 support customer who are serving your end users. So what type of information that you would want to propagate to the monitor or the director side of the house as well. Like what of information that your level 1 or level 2 support want to see, while if let's say if a user is calling in saying that, hey, my VDA seems to be not available, but if you can show that the VDA upgrade process is in progress, is that something that your level 1, level 2 support want to see? So we would like to get more thoughts along those lines, as well as far as what type of information you guys want to see while this process is going on, or at the end of the process, like what type of options you want to see, like just give me a summary of what succeeded or what didn't succeed, and maybe a quick retry option. Does that make sense? Like, because those machines are skipped because there were active sessions on the VDA, but now that you know that those users are now on the machine, or you logged off those machines or users from those machines, you want to simply have a quick retry options. Like anything from the granularity standpoint or like a safety net standpoint, what are the things that as an admin you normally would use or want to see here? So we would love to get your thoughts on that too.
Absolutely. And from a granularity perspective, I see Kevin has sort of asked a question here around large environments, right? Over 100,000 VDAs. How can we sort of take a phased approach over weeks or maybe months to minimize risk? Can we put a property on the machines to define different release rings? I think it's definitely something that we can consider in terms of like longer windows for the upgrade.
Yeah, longer windows and like going back to the filtering tags and any additional properties that we can use to query or define the different batching, like what type of machines or what machines needs to be put in. This is batches. Yeah, those are things that we definitely want to support. Yeah, and those are good feedback too.
Absolutely. And Kevin, again, and it's offered to everybody. Feel free to reach out to us directly. If you have additional details around your use cases, your challenges, we're here and we'd love to listen. Awesome. Swaroop, I think you were kind of alluding to some of this earlier around reporting, right? And how can we essentially look at our state and say, okay, this is where the upgrade process is at. These are how many machines have been successfully upgraded, or ones that are pending, or ones that may have failed.
Right.
So where are we kind of at from like the reporting perspective?
Yeah, right now the whole we on a catalog level we summarize how many machines succeeded, how many failed, and a general category of what the failure is. Most of the issues that we see today, customers may have proxy at those URLs required to download the bits or communicate to the cloud side is not in the allowed list in the URL filtering system. So sometimes we fail with that failure. So in that case, we have a clear call to action in the machine catalog level in the summary section in the bottom with a link to why this failure might have happened, and with some high-level steps to rectify that issue. So it again, it's a something that we are in the process of evolving and trying to make it better. So anything that you guys see as valuable to be shown in here, we would love to get the thoughts on that. But to answer your question, yes, there is something in the catalog level and the machine level where we would provide some high-level feedback on why it happened and the call to action to rectify it. So the eventual goal or what we are working towards is in the Web Studio homepage, we will have a small widget here that shows the admin the process breakdown across different catalogs, and you have a quick snapshot view of how many machines are succeeded, how many are in progress, how many have not attempted, how many failed, etc. Here, that is the goal that we're working towards eventually, to have a widget here within the Web Studio. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the end. Again, it's a quick demo. Again, this is a public tech preview that is available across Citrix DaaS, all editions today. Yeah, I mean, any persistent catalogs should be fair game here. Yeah, we love to get your thoughts, or you're happy to support anyone want to try it out, and please feel free to reach out to me or Alan, and happy to support you.
Yeah, definitely. We're here for you all, and this is something that's been in tech preview for a little bit of time. We are planning the general availability of it in the coming months. So we've gotten together what we feel is a reasonable MVP, and then over the coming quarters, it will continue to advance, iterate, and that'll be based off of all the feedback we get primarily.
Yeah, I think we have one more poll.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Could you please run the last poll? Again, just want to understand from a deployment standpoint, what's your preference? Do you use third-party tools and just grab the required MSIs from the Citrix download and then use your own system, or how many of you utilize the Citrix meta installer or the full product installer for fresh install or upgrade, things along that line?
Okay.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
So it looks like so about 3/4 of you are taking advantage of the meta installer.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. Again, Alan, any other questions? Sorry.
Yeah. No, definitely. We've got a few other questions here, and we still have some time, so feel free to keep those questions coming. Really appreciate it. So one question here was around kind of like security. This one's coming from Will, and he was asking, does it use PowerShell behind the scenes to do the install? And will things like PowerShell constraint modes, right? Or like how in PowerShell, right, we can set execution policies. Will those cause problems with the automated VDA upgrade? If so. So I'll give my take. So to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe it does. I think we're doing like shell execute calls, and we're effectively like calling the meta installer outside of using any kind of PowerShell, permissions or execution policies. But we can definitely follow up and get more details there for you. I think that's a great question. And yes, we're not looking to do anything from a security perspective that would change, some of these key security constraints and parameters that you've defined on your dedicated machines. So that's a good one there. We'll follow up in further detail. Another one here, like around reporting, and I think the takeaway there, right, Swaroop, was that it's like, hey, we can do some basic reporting today, and we're looking at more detailed reporting in the future, possibly integration with services, right, like analytics or other options to make sure that for your daily or weekly stand-ups, you have the right information and that you can, bubble up what you need to for upper management as well. So that's coming soon.
Yeah, definitely. Director monitor integration to make sure we show a snapshot of systems in progress, not available, or anything that have gone through an upgrade process. We'll show that information there as well. So if somebody is reporting that, hey, post install, I'm having an issue, at least the level 1 support knows that this VDA have gone through an upgrade and is using the latest VDA, at least to have a comparison, like a timeline of when the issue has started happening, things along that line.
Exactly. And like we touched on previously, if for some reason the VDA upgrade process should fail, we have architected the service and we will continue to do so such that we have these, these pre-flight checks, these fail-safe operations, such that the VDA will still roll back and be operational, right? I mean, the last thing we want to do is attempt an upgrade to a specific VDA and then realize that it failed for whatever reason, and then now it's completely inoperable, right? So we're completely mindful of that. But on the flip side, dedicated systems can vary wildly, right, across even a given catalog, right? As you all know, once it's a dedicated machine, right, and you've got the users or admins or customizing things or installing software, that's a lot to consider from a upgradability perspective. So there are some other considerations and things that we need to think through. And speaking of like upgrades in different versions, Andre was asking, so if we have a persistent catalog that was created with the 2103 VDA, and then we upgrade it to 2203 with the VDA upgrade option enabled. So I'm going to assume, Andre, correct us if we're wrong, but I'm going to assume here that, say we had it enabled and maybe we just manually upgraded the VDA. So would we still be able to kind of upgrade the VDA later on in that catalog?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you are in the supported VDA versions, from that point onwards, you can use the VDA upgrade service to do future upgrades. But if you have anything older than 2109 or 2203 VDAs, and at that point, you would use your normal process to get the VDA to the minimum supported level for the VDA versions. But anything post that point to future upgrades, we can use the VDA upgrade service for persistent use case.
Yeah, definitely. And a couple of inquiries came here, like around, can we bring this to on-premises customers at some point in time? It's definitely something that's been discussed. We don't have anything concrete to mention at this point in time. But what we will say in general is that we're looking at ways that even if you're an on-premises customer, you can maybe consume services like this as cloud delivered services, right? So I think the WEM service is a fantastic example of that. As some of you may know, we've had a WEM service standalone offering for a little while now, which is a great value add for maybe customers. If they're using like pure AVD, they can still take advantage of standalone WEM service to optimize the environment and control the environment. So we are kind of thinking through some of those types of hybrid approaches.
Yeah, with the new focus, there is definitely a lot of attention on the on-prem side. There is a lot of innovation that is happening on the Citrix CWare on-prem. So definitely this is something that we are actively exploring what options we have. As you guys know, Web Studio is currently available on-prem. Is a great enabler. It is something that we need to even let's say in a future state where we need to support this on-prem, that is something that we need. So again, we are slowly making the features available that we build on top of. So yeah, it's something we need to consider.
Perfect. So we've got at least two more questions here in the queue. Ahmed was mentioning that he enabled the VDA upgrade option on an Azure Win 11 multi-session VDA, but was not seeing that reflected in the catalog or the machine. So I don't know if there's maybe a couple tips, Swaroop, that you might have, and Ahmed, feel free to reach out to us directly.
Yeah, please, if you can send us the Citrix Cloud customer org ID or customer ID, we can definitely take a look at it and figure out why it's not getting reflected. It should be supported as long as it's persistent, like I said before.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you can share some additional information on the VDA version and the customer ID or org ID, we can definitely take a look.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the last one here is, if we're using the LTSR VDA, can we also get an LTSR machine catalog functional level, right? So I know we've kind of sort of briefly talked about, it's like, hey, you know, I've got different levels of the functional level within the catalog. Right. Once we've completed an upgrade of the VDA, can we potentially automatically kick off or elevate the functional level?
Yeah, that is definitely something that we got feedback on, as far as Alan was saying, as being granular. Like, let's say the whole point of upgrading to a newer version of VDA is for supporting a new feature, but that feature has a dependency on being in certain functionality level. Maybe we can detect that and give the admin an option, hey, as part of the upgrade process in a catalog level, do you want to upgrade the functionality level? So right now we don't have that option, but you can at a later state go into the VDA manually and do it as you're doing it today. But thank you for the feedback. That's something that we are trying to support as part of the workflow. Maybe give that option to upgrade to a higher supported functionality level.
Exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, for those scripters out there today, that's something that you could do in a script, right? So once you validated that all the machines are at the upgraded level, then you could run the appropriate commandlet just to elevate the catalog itself. But yes, having that included in here where we just take care of that for you automatically, I think that would be a nice, nice little value add.
A good way to be granular, but the service itself doesn't have any dependency on the functionality level being lower or higher. It should be able to do the VDA upgrade service activities regardless. But to your point, yeah, if there's a functionality or a feature that is dependent on higher catalog level, functionality level, that is something we want to support as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to be mindful of the time. I know we have a few minutes left here. I guess I don't know if we want to send it back to maybe Steve or Stephanie. Any closing thoughts, questions, comments, any other promotional messages that we want to share with the group here? But definitely from our perspective, it was an absolute pleasure to share the content with you all here today. We sincerely hope that you'll give it a spin, try it in your environment. And like we mentioned, we're here for you. Right. Let us know what feedback you have, what's working, what's not, what you'd like to see in here. And we'll do our best to try and accommodate that and build it into our roadmap.
Yep, absolutely. Any feedback, welcome. Yeah, please let us know. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen, for your time today, and everyone who joined us today and asked questions and were participatory. We really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Stephanie, anything on closing?
Just one question that didn't get answered, and that's people looking for the slides. Am I going to be able to share those?
Yeah, again,
I think we can make that happen. Yeah, for most of the slides, I think we can do that.
All right. All right. Well, thanks. I appreciate you guys being here today. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Swaroop. Thanks, Alan. It's been a great hour. I think that you guys told me you only needed 30 minutes, but I think that there were probably more questions than than maybe you anticipated.
We love the questions. That's what we're here for, the interactivity.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again. I hope to see everyone on another CUGC webinar soon, and maybe we'll see you in Chicago at the Excel. Definitely check out our events calendar and stay up to date on that, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep.
Bye.
Good.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.